It is so amazing to see so many people on this day, even though the industry are really turmoil. Just wanted to understand, who am I speaking to? How many of you are building right now in the Web3 industry? Raise your hands. Oh, not many. Then how many of you are interested in Web3, but right now in Web2? How many? Okay. How many of you are just users and trying to figure out cool stuff? Okay. So what are the rest of you here for? No, I'm just kidding. How many of you are feeling anxious and shocked given what happened in the industry? No? Everyone's hopeful, determined, peaceful? That's great. That's awesome. Okay, so then we can get to the core, which is I'm pretty hopeful still, even though there are a lot of turmoil in the industry. Like I joined the industry 4 years ago in the last bear market. I think I've seen a lot, but every day there keeps to be new things. And I think the most important thing is just keep building and delivering values to the users. That no matter what we're going through, we'll be fine. So how many of you are familiar with self-custody wallet? Awesome, that's great. So this will be easy. Here's my definition for self-custody wallet. I think the most important thing that we're delivering value to the society is to have the ownership, empowering people to have a taste. I'm not sure about what is your story of getting into crypto, but when I first joined Binance 4 years ago, and I met Victor, our founder of TrustWallet, and he said, hey, do you have a crypto? I say, sure, I have it on the centralized exchange. He said, but do you have one really on the blockchain? I'd be like, no. Then he sent me a little ETH on the Trust Wallet and say, here you go, now you have it. And I think this is the magic about ownership, is once I start to have the little token, I research into it. I start to figure out how to do things on chain, which is completely different from if you're doing a bank account management. And I have a sense of security, a sense of responsibility that I never had before. I think the similar things happen to democracy. I'm from the US, at least when the US democracy first happened, it happens to people with assets. And why? Because people with assets will have a sense of ownership that make them feel different when they are making decisions. So I'm a huge believer about giving full ownership to people, because I think that's fundamentally what Web3 provides the opportunity, is the unprecedented ownership that you can have with both your assets, your identity, your data, your footprint on the internet. And then Wallet's job is to how to make that happen easier for users to access, manage, see their footprint on the blockchain. And that's our job. So then the most important thing for us to empower is users. How many of you know that we're the world's largest mobile wallet? Oh, some of you, and I know some of you. Yes, we're actually the world's largest self-custody mobile wallet. Many people don't know. We have, for the past 5 years, we have more than 60 million downloads globally. And even in bear market today, we still have about 10 million monthly active devices. And we provide a one-stop shop that users can really hold up to 8.5 million tokens on 70 different blockchains, including NFTs too. So you haven't heard much about us because this is done by a 20% team. And the users to team ratio is unprecedentedly high. And recently we just 2.5 times doubled our team size, so that I get a chance to come out here and speak to you guys about what we do. So since we're talking about building in Web3, if you're a builder, you might be curious about how to actually grow to such a large size and get users. And it might sound cheesy, but that's still the same thing, is principle matters, especially in the turmoil that we see today or for the past 2 days. I think going back to making the right decisions, holding a right integrity, that you are delivering values for the users and not making any fishing move is how to carry you in the long term and users to trust you. And for us as a wallet, the three most fundamental things that we try to hold as a principle to serve for the users are security. That's the number one thing, because once you break the security, you break everything. The second thing is, as long as it's secure, how to make it easy to use. because our goal right now, given such a user base, is how to adopt more people onto the space. And the third is open access. I think this is an ethos about the industry, but I do see worrying trends that the different ecosystems are getting closer and closer, like how we do stuff traditionally in Web2. And if we do become a closed ecosystem, how do we actually scale to beyond just 0.1% population in the world? I do want to make a call out to all the builders or ecosystem developers right now to think about the principles that you're upholding to. So how do we do it? Security is one of the first consideration that make us decide to build the wallet on mobile. It's both for easy to use and also because mobile wallet is slightly more secure than web extension because it's in the contained enclave environment and less connected content compared to the extension. But it also provides a better user experiences compared to hardware wallet. So that is a trade-off decision that we make, and we think mobile wallet is the best starting point for the majority of the people. And we also try to do a lot with privacy. And I've been pushing the team that we try to get rid of any data that can potentially identify you. Because as we're potentially getting exposed to more data on-chain, we're going to do more identity footprint on-chain. You realize that privacy can be one of the biggest issues going forward, and also with the regulations. So this is what we are committed to on the first principle. The second is, if you have to grow to big user base, you have to make the product really easy to use. And the most important easy to use thing is about being simple. It's very easy to get very complex, put everything together, but then you're just scared of tons of people. So even nowadays, a lot of crypto OGs still recommend the first people getting onto the blockchain to use TrustWallet is because we do provide a very familiar Web2 experiences for people, but without sacrificing the full ownership that the users should be getting in Web3. So as I mentioned, you can hold up to 8.5 million tokens. It's really a one-stop shop. Just to put numbers in comparison, Binance holds about 500 tokens. Coinbase is probably about 150 to 200. So you really provide an unprecedented selection of options for people who want to do anything that get exposed to on-chain, and that's what we're aiming for. And the second is that we're also making onboarding easier from the fiat Web2 world to the on-chain world. So this is thanks to our 6 different payment providers. They allow more than 40 fiat currencies to directly buy hundreds of the tokens right now from the majority of the world. And we do that through a secure and compliant way because you do want to make sure the capital that come into on-chain is clean. And the third one is anything you want to do with token is swapping. We do provide that swap options, so users can swap hundreds of the tokens on-chain through the different DACs, also through our partners with OneInch and Thornchain. Very soon, users can do cross-chain as well. Cross-chain from BTC or Ethereum to other major chains. And lastly is native staking. Some of you, if you're using exchanges, you probably use some staking functions. But what is the difference with native staking? So this allows your capital to directly contribute to the securities on-chain. So if you stake Ethereum, if you stake Solana, they contribute to the network ecosystem, and there's no middleman. So you get all the yield you have. And when you're comparing the yield rate that native staking provides to what exchange provides, you'll realize that you can get a lot more. But this is not decided by us. This is decided by each network blockchain ecosystem. What do they decide for their staking? So this is mostly what we think the Web3 new users will want to explore when it comes down to token. But then as industries progress, it's not just crypto is no longer just become managing, storing, trading tokens anymore. There are a lot more utilities coming up. There are a lot more dApps coming out. So their wallet will also need to evolve around with it. I think wallet to the blockchain is becoming the browser to the internet. So the most common utility outside of the token is NFTs. So we support up to 6 popular chains: Polygon, Solana, BNB, Ethereum, Avalanche NFTs to be held there. And Meta chose us to be one of the earliest partners. And Meta team was telling me, Instagram team telling me, how did you guys make the NFT show up so fast, almost instantaneously on your app, because only happening to you and no other wallets that we work with. Because we did the hard work. We built all the infrastructures ourselves to making sure that even just a little time gap for the users can be optimized. And you cannot take the shortcut if you don't do the hard work. So, and we also build the in-app dApp browsers that the users can connect to any dApps on 23 blockchains anytime and directly enjoy a mobile experiences, carry with them anywhere. So now if you're any of the dApp builders, we would love to see if there are any gaps with connectivity that happens. We wanted to solve your problems. So this is what gives us a lot of the infrastructures. So we integrated with 70 chains, and we also want to keep up with the industry's movement. So the Move ecosystem is right now pretty popular, and we're the only top 3 wallets in the world give the users capabilities to manage any Aptos tokens as well as connecting to the Apto dApps. So even though right now we'll see how the industry dynamics go through, we do want to be there to serve the developers and the users to make the bridge happen. But we don't do that just for ourselves. Our infrastructure is open sourced. So this is a mobile wallet library any mobile wallet developers can use to build their own app on top of it. Because we deeply believe that the infrastructure layer should be open source so that we can scale the development much faster. And someone asked me, are you worried about competitions? Sure, but also no. Because I sometimes think competitions can crowdsource more wisdom to help us, the mobile developers, to figure out what is the better user experiences to come. So Crypto.com wallet, Blockchain.com wallet all uses our open source infrastructures to build their own wallet. And for any chain ecosystem out there, the fast track for you to get tapped into either us or any of those mobile wallet is you can do the work of integration to the library yourself so that we don't become the bottleneck and we can help you to better get to the users faster. So what's next to come? I think people might want to hear more sexy new stuff, but I actually think the fundamental principles still don't change to any wallets. Security, onboarding, those are going to be forever trade-offs that we need to figure out. So security includes giving full ownership to users. There are recently a lot of discussions around smart contract wallet, account abstraction. I think those are very, very promising technology that we're also doing a lot of research, testing, experiments too. The key questions that we are still pondering on is how do we solve recoverability issue? How do we solve cross-chain issue so that we don't make any particular chain a closed ecosystem? And how do we also avoid or reduce smart contract risk? Because once you make the wallet a smart contract, it bears its own risk too. I think those are the different trade-offs that we try to think about. But smart contracts definitely have a lot of potentials to make the onboarding experiences better. As an industry, what are we willing to trade off for the users? We're going to make that decisions. Other wallets will make that decisions too. So we'll see how the users decides. And then identity data, as mentioned, I think this will be a very important infrastructure that will be built on wallets too. But then, as mentioned, coming on will be the privacy. How do we making sure that the identity doesn't get compromised? Wallets, we don't need to hold the identity data point and become a honeypot for hackers so that most of the users' data get jeopardized. But most importantly, anything comes down to next is what do we deliver true values for users? And this is what drives me. The other day, I was talking to a Binance charity team, and she really encouraged me. She said that they are working on giving crypto donations to Afghanistan refugees during the war, and they couldn't use any other means other than self-custody wallet because financial infrastructure traditionally doesn't really work there, and centralized exchanges, if they're reliable, they will do very heavy KYC. And there's no identity infrastructures in war zones like that. But in turbulent times, all the crypto fundings and donations that the refugee receive is on TrustWallet. That's the means that at least we are filling the gap in the society is we do help the underbanked. And we make it easy to use, we make it relatively intuitive for them to use so that they can enjoy and participate and get a peace of mind of the security. So even in the turbulent times right now, when the industries are potentially shaken by how do we think about regulations about the centralized exchanges going forward, at least I think self-custody is a last line resort for many people in turbulent times. You have your peace of your mind, you have your own control. Yes, it's not that easy to use, yes, we will try to solve the problem, but it's potentially cool for people to have an option. So that's all. And here's my call to action. We will also have a meetup for next week. If you're around, we'd love you to hang out and share feedback on how we can build things together. Thank you.